I'd like to start introducing Professor Newton Scala from State University, and he's going to talk about FAPESP, which is our main sponsor over here for this school. Professor Scala.
Thank you, Terso, for this. And my talk will be a short one. I think we are going to have some time for questions, if you want. And well, as Terso told, I'm going to talk about what FAPESP is doing to stimulate research in climate change in São Paulo State. So FAPESP is our research council of São Paulo State, and it has a budget of around $400 million a year, and it supports research in all fields, and supports research for grants to academic projects, university industry projects, small business, and has 3 special programs. There is a program in biodiversity, another one in bioenergy, and a special program in climate change, in which I belong. Okay? So this is a homepage for research program on global climate change. Our program aims to advance knowledge on global climate change, and we have projects, I'm going to show you after some of them, in all fields. Okay? And the kind of effort that we are doing is to stimulate workshops, to stimulate short courses, and also calls of proposals. Okay? The aim, the topics that we are mostly supporting are related to those consequences of global climate change in functioning of ecosystems, balance of radiation in the atmosphere, aerosol, trace gases, global climate change and agriculture and livestock. You have also energy and greenhouse gas effects, emissions and mitigation, climate change effects on human health and human dimensions. Okay? So I have to say that Brazil has a peculiar case. It's a peculiar case among countries. If you look, most of the countries, the higher emissions are located in the energy sector. In the case of Brazil, our energy sector, we could say that it's a bit clean, because electricity that we use here in houses and buildings, they come mostly from hydroelectrics and water power. So 70% of our electricity comes from water power, and also cars, transportation. I myself, I run with a car which is based on sugarcane ethanol, 100% sugarcane ethanol since 1990s. So, and I'm proud of it because this emits much lesser, the sugarcane ethanol emits 7 times lesser than gasoline. Okay? So our problem is not located in the energy sector, it's in land use change, okay? And also in agriculture. So most of the projects we have, most of the efforts we have in FAPESP program for climate change, you're going to see, if you look to the projects, most of them are related to land use change, and also to agriculture. Okay? We have put some efforts in order to join some other projects related to engineering, and I think we have been successful. We have nowadays a more multidisciplinary projects and in all fields, and I'm going to show you some of those. Okay. So it is a tradition of FAPESP. I think more and more FAPESP is becoming an international partner to most of the research agencies in all over the world. Okay? And that's the case of our program. We have collaborations and collaborations with other agencies like DOE, the Department of Agriculture, and also Belmont Forum and some others. And we're going to see more and more of this in the last years. This is the values that were invested in projects, specifically in our climate change program. Okay? We had something like 130 million reals, which is maybe $40 million in the last 8 years. Okay? I'm not counting 2017. You see that there were some years that you have a lot of investments, a higher investment. In the first year, we use part of this money to support the acquisition of a supercomputer, which is located in INPE, our National Space Institute, and runs the Brazilian climate model. And in this year here, probably this high investment here, part of it was due to acquisition of a ship, a vessel, that is located, I think, here in Oceanographic Institute in São Paulo State University. So in the last years, I would say that the two biggest investments we have was with the supercomputer, as I said, and also with the vessel, this navy, the ship that's being used mainly by oceanographic studies. Okay. So I told you that I believe that in the last years we have turned our program in São Paulo State, the investments to climate change research in more multidisciplinary. You see that in the beginning of our program in 2008, we had mostly exact science, projects related to exact science. But if you look nowadays, I'm not looking to 2017 because not over yet. You have projects also in exact science, but in other fields like biological science, in agriculture, engineering, interdisciplinary. So we are becoming more and more broad in this sense. Okay. So the science of climate change could be divided in three big groups. So you have the physical basis, you have impact, adaptation, vulnerability, you have mitigation group, that's the group 3. So 3 weeks ago we had our annual meeting here in São Paulo of FAPESP. We had something close to 50 projects. And you could see that in our annual meeting that you had all those kind of projects located in group 1, group 2, group 3. I'm going to give you some examples. One project which is studying the plumes and the pollution, aerosols in Amazonia. Another one that is relating oceanographic studies with climate. We had projects related to impact, adaptation, and vulnerability in Amazonia. We have a FACE project, a big FACE project in Amazonia. It is enriching the parts of the forest with CO2. And also another one that I found it quite interesting that is studying the impact of climate change and changes in the sea level on crabs. I didn't know that, but crabs, they are very sensitive to sea levels. And you could change not only their presence in the rocks, but also their morphology. Mitigation, for the first time we saw 2 projects of carbon capture and sequestration, one by physical methods, another one by chemical methods. And of course, in Brazil, nowadays in São Paulo State, we have a lot of people working with agriculture, trying to develop. That's a problem we have. Most part of the emissions we have is related to pasture, to cattle, and how this is pressuring forests, natural forests. So they are trying to not only to reduce emissions, but also to increase the amount, the number of animals per hectare. Well, this is quite close to the end. I'm going to talk to you about a new call that we have nowadays. It's open up to September. This new call is in climate change. This is the kind of task we have to stimulate calls of proposal. And this is specifically on impact, vulnerability, adaptation, and mitigation. And the kind of grant that we have supports young investigators also. Okay, so I see a lot of youngers here, and you could have this project approved, and we have a fellowship included. Okay, for a young investigator that would like to come here to São Paulo to join us. Okay? So in summary, I would like to say that the projects in FAPESP Climate Change Program, they are directed to several fields. Those projects are related to physical basis, impact, vulnerability, adaptation, and mitigation. Certainly, for sure, you have strong participation of international programs, Go Amazon, Belmont Forum, and this call that I just showed you is another effort to do that. And FAPESP is willing to cooperate with international partners. Okay, thank you.